Welcome to Wisdom Exchange TV. My name is Suzanne F Stevens, Chief Edge Optimizer for the Ignite Excellence Group of Initiatives. Today, we are in Cape Town with a leading lady in business, a social entrepreneur, Gia Whitehead. She's Sustainable Director and founder of Tertiary School in Business Administration. It is an absolute pleasure. We welcome you as our next leading lady. So what was the catalyst for this institution?
I think it was just around creating a sense of hope and creating access to tertiary education so that we can ignite opportunity and grow South Africa's future leaders and entrepreneurs. It was just really, I think, synchronicity of people coming together, wanting to make a difference and having that vision to really make sure that we can create people that are job creators and not job seekers.
Where did you come from before you started?
So I'm originally from Johannesburg. I was involved in, I was doing IT and then wanted to really look at entrepreneurship and start up something on my own. And was involved in a similar initiative in Johannesburg, just really seeing how we can provide education and providing skills to people focused around leadership, and then wanted to create something like this in Cape Town.
Also very important, sometimes you may not have the history, but you have desire.
Absolutely.
And desires, you've received accolades because of that desire. And, you know, I love the fact that your vision is Ignite opportunity, and obviously Ignite's close to my heart. Your mission is to be an innovative learning community that graduates and entrepreneurial leaders who ignite opportunity and social change. How do you do that? How do you instill that in your curriculum and as an institution?
So we're the only institution that has those sort of subjects, entrepreneurship, leadership, personal and self-development, as credit-bearing subjects. And so we build it in and a strong focus. It's not only about knowledge, but it's about bringing in skills, experiential learning. And at the center, it's around attitude. And attitude is bringing in values throughout the years and throughout the curriculum that students report and reflect on. That's just as important as doing the academic subjects. And so it's around creating this culture of thinking creatively, innovatively, wanting to start up businesses and nurture them and grow them in a supported model where students are encouraged to fly and to strive and to develop what they already maybe have inside them, but just need that support to get there. And strong focus is also around paying it forward. So there's this philosophy that if it's free for you, you need to give it back to other people, and that's creating a sense of social responsibility as a core value. And there is a big community on campus, so the students, this is home to them. They feel like they go back to where they live, but when they come here, they're coming home. So it's creating a community of people that want to ignite opportunity and social change, both the students, through the people that mentor and lecture here, and through the entrepreneurs that grow.
I want to give everyone a hug. You know, the pay it forward is you know, I love the pay it forward concept. How do you ensure that your students pay it forward?
Well, there's no contractual agreement that students have to pay anything in terms of financial, but they do, as part of their leadership curriculum, have to be involved on campus and in their communities, and they get what we call leadership hours. So they're part of the program, it's credit bearing and recognized. So that's one way to start off that expectation, but it actually becomes just part of the culture, and you find that students are hungry for the opportunity to learn and grow, and they see the value of other people giving back and mentoring and teaching them and showing them what it's like, you know, to be supported. And so it's something that's instilled and ingrained in our students from day one. And over time we now have students who have paid back for another student to study, so we can see that it's working. And we have over 62% of our graduates actually pay it forward, whether they're lecturing or mentoring here on campus or helping in high schools or communities, and that they've already left. So we can see that it's happening outside of the campus.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Now, that would probably make your students and your graduates quite unique.
Absolutely.
What else makes your graduates unique?
As mentioned, we speak about that leadership and then that entrepreneurship built in, and the attitude. So at the end of the day, our students can see the bigger picture. They're system savvy. They see how it integrates as a whole, and a strong sense of where they come from, who they are, and where they're going through career management that happens here, and also through experience. So we have access to networks. Students work in companies while they're here, so they're building up and becoming business ready while they're here, not once they've graduated. And so the students really engage, can hit the ground running as they leave, and have that, as I said, sense of social responsibility too. So there is that uniqueness. It's something about the TSiBA spirit, and we have corporates saying to us, we want to employ a TSiBA graduate because of those qualities.
So where would you think some of the other universities then fall short?
We work closely with other universities, and they admit that they're too coarse-grained. They take hundreds of students and focusing on the academic knowledge. And so we take smaller numbers, we focus one-on-one, we provide support, also psychological support, and deal with a lot of social issues, as well as trying to bridge gaps. So we're taking in a target market of students who didn't have maths in their previous schools, or they didn't have that support structure, and they're first generation university goers. They don't have parents who have walked that road before. And so we provide mentors to help the students to understand the path that they're going, and to have someone in their corner. So other universities, unfortunately, are just too big to catch those students that are the ones that need to be supported.
See, one thing I'm loving what I'm hearing you say, and based on my experience of being in Africa for the last couple of years, and actually trying to hire, and people showing up with the expectation of being hired because they have a degree, yet have no experience or understanding. And I'm not talking young people, I'm talking over 30 to 50, where there's this expectation, I have a degree, hire me. And I'm like, but you don't have experience. What do you do at your school to help bridge that experience gap?
So in the classroom, career management is a subject where we first get students to understand what they're passionate about, how to build up their CVs, how to communicate and be presentable. But then they go on internships and work in companies every year. First it's about work shadowing, up to in their final year where they actually do something called an industry practical project, where they spend 6 months in a company working on a research project. And that's a way in which they can get to know the business, the companies can get to know them, and so they build those relationships. Also, a lot of our lecturers come from business, so we're not just bringing in academics, we're bringing in lecturers who have that business expertise, and the students can really learn from them as to what's really happening out there in the real world. It's just around having the mindset of thinking creatively, innovatively, being proactive, and those skills and values that are brought in, that we realize when we look at what skills and competencies are needed out there, how can we build that back into the curriculum? So when we're designing the curriculum, we look at what we call a competency map and make sure that it matches. So we're not just here to give knowledge because we think that's what's needed. We go out there and find out what is really needed to build in.
As we have an audience of African women listening to this and people who want to get into education, you're saying a lot of really core messages about relevancy to the market, to the individual, to how to be employable, which seems to be a gap in a lot of African countries that I've had the pleasure of visiting, is how to make somebody marketable and applicable to the marketplace. Now, when those students are working for organizations, do they get paid?
No, so it's part of the requirements for their degree, so they don't get paid. There is some companies like to give a stipend to support their travel and their food expenses, but they don't get paid. Some students do get part-time jobs while they're studying to help them, but we find that that's difficult, and often because they're breadwinners and having to support families, students sometimes see that as, oh, that's a job, I'm earning money, I can leave and carry on working. But it's really about getting students to see the value of holding on and getting a degree at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But another big part is around the self-development, and it's around leadership skills and understanding who you are and where you come from and how do you deal with issues that are very personal. And that has a big impact also in the workplace and getting out there, because until you know who you are and can deal with stress and see the bigger picture, then you can't grasp terms and accounts and finance and be in a normal environment.
Can you be a little more specific on what type of leadership skills that you're training students with?
We're looking at different leadership strategies, but also things like responsibility, integrity, taking initiative, communication skills, thinking innovatively, being system savvy. So they do something called a portfolio of learning, where they say how have these things and these values influenced my life over the year, and when I go out into a company, and teamwork and communication. So there are a number of things which are actually built into the curriculum. And so leadership is also around taking control of when you're going out into a community, and how do you teach and how do you learn and help people grow along the way, and being involved in the classroom and working with other students. We bring in role models and hero speakers. So we bring in leaders who come in and talk to the students about their life and their learnings and stories, and so students can really see how other people have been there before and done it. So it's real examples back into the classroom.
What is your vision for the university? Do you want to replicate this?
Absolutely. So one of my main roles is to see how we can take the TSiBA model and similar initiatives and create access to education and entrepreneurs for the rest of South Africa and Africa and elsewhere. So if we can really, rather than creating one big center right here, rather create smaller centers of excellence that can create access in rural and other communities, and they can always move through into the degree programs. So we already have replicated successfully in Eden. We have a campus called TSiBA Eden in Karatu and Knysna, and there we have a strong focus on green business and entrepreneurship. And that's been a wonderful way to see how the model works in a rural environment where the students live on campus and grow food and provide back to the community. And more we're seeing interest from smaller communities, and they're saying, we need this and we want this here. And we believe it's around having people on the ground that are going to be the drivers. We can't go into a community and say, you need this. It's around people that come forward to make it work. And we've got already governments from other African countries who have signed agreements with us for us to take that model there. And we're looking to open one of those next year already.
Very exciting. So sustainability is key.
Absolutely.
What has been the most significant impact at your long life of 30 years do you think you've made so far?
I think the biggest impact is around, seeing myself as someone who's concerned about giving back and creating, a diverse group of students that are going to become job creators and not job seekers, and creating an institution that we had, as I was saying, no precedent to rely upon, but that is entrepreneurial, and now having thousands of people have access to skills and a community of people that they see as their home and where they can grow and learn and develop.
A challenge for many organizations is sustainability, regardless if you're for-profit or not-for-profit, particularly when relying on funding. What experiences provided you with the knowledge to attain funding, and very successfully, I might add?
I think firstly it's around having a story that you're passionate about and having a project that is tangible and real, that is doing real grassroots empowerment. And what better than education, where you're really giving people the skills to go out and be self-sustaining. So having and being passionate about it. So if I'm going out and selling it, I'm selling it because I know that it's working, I know that it's needed. And that's the first step. And also for funders to see they're not only believing in the project but in the individual, that they know that you're the one that's able to do it and they have confidence in you.
What gives people the confidence in you?
I think it is about, initially it's difficult because you don't have credibility. You're the startup institution that no one knows about. But as you start demonstrating that you have the results, that you're making a real difference in people's lives, and that you are, dedicated and hardworking and passionate, and we have a team of people that this is what they do, and when they're sleeping, they wake up in the night worrying about it. It's not just a job. So that's the one part. And we're fortunate to have individuals from other credible institutions, universities and corporates who came on board because they saw value in what we were doing. And once you have one partner on board that sees that credibility, so it helps to build other interest.
What was the most useful experience that allowed you to raise 80 million rand for operating expenses since 2004, with over 9 million invested in reserves?
So I think in the beginning it's about believing in the entrepreneurs and the people doing it. But what we found is we got people involved in developing this. So it wasn't like we were doing it alone. We'd have task teams and we'd say to people, give your input, get involved in the curriculum, in designing and thinking about visioning about where we're going. And so that some of those funders and people actually felt that they were part of this, part of creating something together. And so there was buy-in right from the beginning. And you found that those people became the people who started volunteering and lecturing and giving money. So that was one of the ways. And then over time, it's about the students and the product. So having role models and having individuals that can come and you can show the funders, look what we've created. And these are students, and until you meet the students can you really see who demonstrate all the values and all the qualities that we say we're trying to create. So they are leaders, they are entrepreneurs, they can engage in conversation, they can be involved in helping people start up businesses. So it's about, at the end of the day, then showing a tangible product and a model that people see as something that can be replicated and can be used elsewhere.
With some of those corporates, seeing the product, which is the student at the end of the day, saying, I want more of that product. And the only way I'm going to get more of that product is by investing in the institution. Is that what's happening as well?
Yeah, so in South Africa there's something called Black Economic Empowerment, and there's a scorecard, and so companies are required to spend X amount of money on corporate social investment, on enterprise development, and on other areas like management and employment equity. So we're actually addressing a need for these companies, and not is it just a tick box exercise that at the end of the day they have to give their money, but our students can actually move into the business, they can add value, and that's incredibly important. And so we're offering a solution that's innovative, that companies can get benefits on all those different areas and components. So for them, they can really also build morale within their organizations because their employees will come and lecture. And so it's both that feel-good element and to have a flagship project and something whereby they feel that they're contributing to South Africa and where it's going, and then also that they're able to get their points. So we really can provide that solution.
You're filling a gap in the marketplace that that has to be legally fulfilled, and you're not resting on your laurels. You're making sure the product is quality, so you're getting them back, which kind of leads to my next question. But in regards to what systems have you implemented to ensure that you continue to get that funding?
We're realizing that in terms of the times and recession and things, that it's not that easy, and companies have less money to spend because these budgets are on net profit after tax. So if there aren't any profits, there's no money to go around. And so we're having to be innovative. So we're not anymore seeing ourselves and seeing the main part of our income to be coming from donors, even though we are reliant on that. We're moving away, and we're saying, how can we look at generating non-donor based income, both through income generating activities. So we have a number of activities that we have underway. Also thinking about more creatively around how we can approach corporates and offer them our IP, using the knowledge that we have and the skills that we can offer to their employees and other things in order to generate income rather than it's a handout. And then making sure that we can also set aside money that we can build up a capital base and use the interest to then fund the university. So we're having to look at that differently. And one of those is through income generating activities. Another one is replicating. So replication initially is more because we want to create access, but also it's around building the brand, showing that we're relevant, proving that, and that can be an income generator in the long term by reaching out and establishing more and more of these. So we're looking at a number of different initiatives to really grow that non-donor base.
Kudos to you for doing that. Can you give us a couple examples of some of the projects that you are implementing that you're hoping to generate enough income?
One is we will, in our community in Eden, we do trail runs and events and conferences and activities for the community and other people on the ground. Another one is called TSiBA Executive Education, where we're providing training back to companies. So people are saying how we want to package some of those courses that you do and to help employees fast track through an organization. Other examples are through looking at the way we invest our money and the way we can make sure that we can leverage that to then enable us to start more initiatives. Right? We also do a community training, and that the main focus on that is supporting entrepreneurs and teaching skills to other people, but that's growing, and there's a huge need for people other than our students to access skills and to help them grow their businesses, and our students, and hopefully that through if we're teaching entrepreneurship, we need to be role modeling it. So it's around starting up other entrepreneurial businesses that can eventually feed back into the space.
So have you ever lost financial resources by a particular funder?
No, we have had decrease in amount of funding because of financial times, where funders have said, look, there isn't that much to go around, so they've had to decrease the amount that they had committed. And then funders who have exited, but through a clear strategy that we knew about. So they've said we can commit for a period of 3-4 years, and after that we're going to move on, and we have to find other funders. So absolutely, and that's the nature of corporate. Mm-hmm. So we need to also look more at building our individual giving, so individuals who are passionate and leave a legacy.
In 2002, you were referred to as South Africa's 100 Brightest Young Minds.
It's an initiative that was started probably about 12-15 years ago, where a number of companies came together with an organization and looked for top students. They chose 100 students from all universities across South Africa to bring young people together who were thinking, and they could get and pose questions and look at the future of South Africa and where they were going. And the criteria was both academic but also around leadership skills and insights and how you grappled with questions. So I was selected and then attended a conference where it was kind of a way in which corporates could use these young minds as brains for thinking on projects that they were wanting to do. But it was a wonderful opportunity to engage with other young minds, and that's something that has continued. So that's a database of people that still are in contact, and it's amazing to see where those young students have gone and grown, and they've all done fabulous things.
A good initiative from the sounds of it, and very smart on the corporate part.
Yeah, that's a way that they can also employ, minds into their business.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you the question, how do you get those meetings to have those conversations and then actually approach the funding conversation?
It's a mix of things. There is a lot of cold calling, going straight to the top, going to the CEO or the head of HR or corporate investment, and just getting into that diary. Often it's around using networks, so through people that I know, getting recommendations and using their name to make that appointment. Once you're in the room, it's not difficult if you have a story to tell that you believe in and that you have tangible results. What works best is bringing people to the campus and meeting the students, because once they meet the students and engage, that's where they really see what you're doing, and that's the product. So once individuals or companies feel the energy and engage, that's where the main interest is. And then there is a lot of tedious proposal writing and trying to build relationships. And again, as I was saying, it's about forming long-term strategic partnerships and building relationships that take long. It's not, the cycle isn't, there are times where you walk into office and it's sold, and other times where it takes years to build those relationships, and often through people lecturing or coming as guest speakers or engaging or volunteering, so that relationship grows.
And I guess that would be a good strategy too, to actually get somebody to be a guest speaker, and that they see firsthand what you're capable of.
Get them involved, in the beginning. And there are times where you do just straight ask for money, and sometimes you can't be afraid to ask, and that's something I've learned too, is sometimes people want to know why you're talking to them. They don't want you to be spending half an hour telling your story and wasting their time if they've got a busy schedule.
Now, your school has a high placement rate for students. What advice can you provide to students to increase their opportunities and chances of gaining employment?
The first is around having the academic knowledge and making sure that you're going into a business that you want to be in, that you feel you can add value and that you can give something, contribute. And then it is around the attitude. It's around learning how to engage, how to look people in the eye, how to prove yourself, and going in there as if you're coming to learn, as a developmental role, and that there's growth, and you can't walk into any company and know it all. You've got to be willing to learn and to start from the beginning. But as long as you have, that the mindset of being proactive and not going to walk into a company and expect people to tell you what to do and how to do it. You've got to be able to ask questions and to be willing to take on new things.
You've got to start from the beginning. Talk a little bit about what you mean by that.
Depending on the organization you go into, there are a lot of corporates where you're going into graduate programs or into lower level positions, and it takes time to build up that corporate ladder. No matter how much you know coming out of a university, even if like at TSiBA where you have that experience, every organization is different. There are different cultures, and you're dealing with new people and new structures, and so you have to learn. You have to be open to starting from as if you know nothing and relearn and relook at the way those organizations run. But there are other opportunities where our students have moved into managerial roles because of their attitude and because of their leadership skills, and they can fly.
It appears that you're creating social entrepreneurs. Is that one of your goals, is to create some social entrepreneurs with your students?
We've always said we want our students to be entrepreneurial, and in reality most of our students end up wanting to go into corporate because they need the money, they've got families to support, and we encourage that because it's good for them to get experience. But ultimately we're hoping that our students, whether they're entrepreneurial within their organization, but actually that they'll go back and start up businesses. And a lot of them from the social entrepreneurship want to start businesses back in their communities because they want to start growing and developing where they come from. Mm-hmm. So that is a strong part, and so we have a particular program around social entrepreneurship where we actually work with Northeastern University from Boston, where students there come and engage with our students and they work on projects together.
How important do you think social entrepreneurship will be for South Africa as a way forward for businesses?
It's incredibly important, and more people are having to not only think about being profit driven and doing things for themselves, which is incredibly important, but is about building up those communities. Because in South Africa, too many people move out of communities to find work and to start and to grow. They don't see where they live as being somewhere aspirational, and that needs to change. There needs to be more and more development in the rural and the urban townships and communities that really can then build value and capacity in those areas. There's too many areas that are isolated. The urban areas get more and more developed, and the rural and township areas are left. And that's something that's just perpetuating. So the more that students and entrepreneurs can go back to those communities and be role models and actually get things going on the ground, the better.
Have you ever conducted a project or an initiative that just didn't work?
I think we've tried a lot of things. As entrepreneurs, we have had to take risks, and we've learned along the way, like the huge gaps that our students have from high school in terms of skills, making a lot of assumptions around how much they understand and can process, and from basic logic and also like family values. So there's been learnings in that process. Another project that initially we did was we started giving loans to entrepreneurs. We have an ignition center where we support entrepreneurs in the community that aren't our students. And one of the first things we started doing was giving loans, because we thought, you need the money to help grow these businesses and start up. And we realized that wasn't working. So we stopped the loans altogether and realized that actually it's around the mentorship and the hand-holding and the support and skills that's needed. And money is the last thing that they need. So that was one area where we put a lot of focus into mentorship, just like we do in our curriculum, to grow entrepreneurs.
And see, that's a really good learning too, because there's so many people that, and be it locally or internationally, focusing on microfinance.
Absolutely.
And microfinance is only as good as the mentorship that a company says. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And so we said over time we will give startup capital and money, but until you've been through a rigorous mentoring and skills process, can you even think about accessing that? And the same with our students. We started giving out student loans because we can't access the National Student Loan Scheme, and our students need help with subsistence to get here every day, to have food in their stomachs, for a place to stay. And we started issuing loans to help students. And even though that's critically important, it's not our business. And students can't afford to pay those back. And it's not either the main reason why they don't make it. There's students that have absolutely nothing, but they'll make it through the program because of perseverance and other things that get them going.
See, I'm actually interested in this on a very personal level because of the Ignite Excellence Foundation, which also supports tertiary education. And our philosophy has always been, we will not pay for living, only for education. And it's sort of on the lines of what you're talking about. And our philosophy was, you have to have something to lead your life, or you will not be able to lead others.
Exactly. And so even in the interviews, we we are looking for students who financially can't afford it, but we also say, what support structures do you have? And no matter how much support we give, there's got to be something on the ground or a contribution back, whether it's from the family or someone. If people have absolutely nothing, they're not going to make it through. So it's about finding that match.
If there is one thing you can attribute your success to, a personality trait or a situation or incident in your life, what would that be?
Being passionate about other people, being passionate about the project that I'm involved in. I think it's a lot about family values and I was privileged to being brought up in a very supportive environment where my family encouraged me to be entrepreneurial and take risks and believed in me and believed that I could do anything. And so it's that strong sense of family and love and security that enabled me to go out and feel that I could do whatever I wanted to do.
So what would you say is the most challenging aspect of your career?
Well, raising money is challenging, especially in times like this. I think what's most challenging is to find a work-life balance, and I think I've done quite well at that. And it's around...
Your baby is not born yet.
But it's particularly around, you get so involved because it's your thing and we're responsible for thousands of young people, and if I can't find the money, they're can't be here tomorrow. So it's around being able to sometimes not be thinking about TSiBA 24/7 and step out of that and think, value your family time and friends and other things, and look after yourself, because often you forget to look after yourself. So I have been through years where I've totally neglected who I was.
What was the most significant thing that happened to you or for you that achieved your career accomplishments?
I think it's just something that I got totally pulled into, and one thing leads to another. So just from wanting to start this, which started up being, I was both ambitious and naive, not knowing what on earth I was getting into, to hitting the ground running and getting accreditation for a degree, having a piece of paper to say you're actually accredited, and now it means you actually have to do this stuff and you have to actually go ahead and teach people and open doors, and starting to get the money means that you have to keep going, and one thing leads to the next. So I don't think there was one particular element, but from the moment you say let's get go, let's take this risk, let's do it, it's just a treadmill that keeps going.
But there is quite a shift from what you were doing to doing this. What was the catalyst for that? What was it that you took your history and said, this is what we want to do? Did someone come to you, or did you?
I think it was me. I heard someone speaking about being involved in skills and giving back, and going and walking into the center of Johannesburg, which at the time was incredibly unsafe, and there were lots of young students that were being uplifted in a similar approach, but different, and just realizing, wow, there's a whole other side to the privileged environment that I've been brought up in, and thinking about how much wonderful energy there was, and being a white South African, knowing that if I'm going to stay in this country, I need to be doing something. I had a number of scares in terms of my own life and safety living in Johannesburg, and realized that I can't run away from this. I have an opportunity to do something.
This is what I call my edginess segment, and what I refer to when I'm saying the edginess segment is something that you've had to do in your career that makes you uncomfortable. And you got to stretch yourself to do it, but you have to do it in order to achieve the success that you've achieved.
So I think the bigger thing is starting a university I mean, who would have ever thought that I would have started this huge university with no precedent to rely upon, where we're offering free education, and having to just, as an entrepreneur, take risks day by day, and from getting a building to raising money to creating a curriculum, getting students to register and lecturers to come on board. So I think that continues to be like that edge of daily we're learning and trying things new, because, and we've only now been running for 8 years with students, and still, you have challenges that we've never seen or dealt with before.
In the pursuit of your success, is there anything you do differently?
No, I don't regret anything, and I think it's always about learning and keeping on going, and not giving up, and we're all still here and committed and passionate.
If you were to define success, what does that mean to you?
Success is, to me, a lot around finding a balance, but making sure that I can create a sustainable life for myself and my family, and as well as a sustainable institution that can be around for years to come for the students. So it's around, I think, creating containers, also in relationships, that are sustainable and strong.
If you were to define leadership, how would you define that?
Leadership is around having integrity, being able to teach and lead others. It's around ongoing learning, and also making sure you have the time to think and to be mindful and to sit back and listen and allow other people to grow.
If you could provide 3 leadership lessons from running the university, to advice to other women or men for that matter, that starting a project, leading a team, or starting an initiative, what would that be?
First one is that people are different, and that you've really got to be able to understand and learn and get to know other cultures and individuals before you can take on anything. And another point is to be emotionally intelligent, and to be willing to really step back and listen. And sometimes there are times when you can lead and take control and know when to act, and other times when it's best just to let other people really grow and learn. And the third one is around finding a balance and bringing in your personal things that are really going to make you drive and be successful and strive and do your best, and times when you must put in your all and focus on the work and do what needed to be done, and not to give up. So once you have a plan, you must keep going until you reach that goal.
When she's 10, let's say she's 10 years old today. I've just fast forwarded the whole 10 years for you. What words of advice would you give to her?
I would make sure that she is brave, that she is strong, and that she always holds integrity and knows who she is and where she wants to go. And I'd also tell her to, treat things with love and care, and be willing to be open to different people, different individuals, and that there are times in life that are challenging, and to be able to really not take them so difficultly, but see them as obstacles to learn and to grow.
Now, what would be something that you wish you were told at 10?
I think to be told that you can't do everything on your own, and that you need support and you need people to help you along the way, and not to be so strong and determined and do it all by yourself.
What is next for you?
Next, I think the short term is to have a child and to learn. It's a totally different business, and to be able to know that it's not the same type of fast-paced lifestyle, but it's around learning in other ways. And there's a lot that I can be taught. But then in terms of taking the organization to a level where it can be sustainable, that's where I'm wanting to go. So that's the medium term, that we can make sure we can bring in income generation and be here. And then the longer term is to be able to have a model that's sustainable, but that can be replicated. And even though we're starting to do that, it needs to be successfully replicated, that it can be seen as a model for other places in the world.
It seems almost odd asking somebody 30 this next question, but I'm going to anyway. The world's your oyster, and outside your career or in your career, if there's one thing that you would really love to do that you haven't done yet, what would that be?
I've always been an artist, and I paint and I do a lot of creative things. And for me, it's around being able to bring in my creativity, even that I do in the workplace, but doing something artistic that's going to maybe add value to all the people that I've been involved in, whether it's through teaching art or painting or doing something. So that's more personal. But I think it's more just to build a family. Yeah, that's
I see a white wall here, which a nice white piece of artwork would be fantastic. Wonderful. Yeah. I don't think you have too much time for that in the near future, though. So what words of wisdom would you like to leave to African women?
Women need to be brave and strong, and to show that they can do anything, but particularly back it up with learning and knowledge. So I think it's really important that women educate themselves and are able to take things forward and take risks and to start whatever they want. I really think they mustn't forget where they come from. It's important to remember who you are before you can go out and lead others or start anything on your own, and not to be afraid to take risks, and to be seen as a woman, and not, and just because we wear skirts or we're, people, we're often not seen on the same level, but to prove themselves.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gia. Well, another wonderful interview, and I always love interviewing someone sort of just starting their career and yet has made such a huge impact already. My name is Suzanne F Stevens, and I co-produce Wisdom Exchange TV alongside my husband, Michael K. Ginrich. We're traveling through Africa, interviewing women pioneers, trailblazers, and leaders of many. If you know someone we should be interviewing, please do email us at info@wisdomexchangetv.com. Also, join us on our fan page at Wisdom Exchange TV, and we highlight who's coming, who to interview. We want to hear your feedback. What can we be doing better? We're always open to suggestions. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.